Dr. Evelyn Carter, a 34-year-old economist with a PhD from Howard University, walked into First National Trust Bank in Atlanta one crisp autumn morning. She carried a meticulously crafted proposal for a financial literacy program aimed at empowering underserved communities. But when she handed her documents to the loan officer, things took a dark turn. The bank accused her of forgery, claiming inconsistencies in her paperwork. Security escorted her out, leaving her humiliated and furious. Word spread quickly. News outlets labeled her a suspect, and social media erupted with racially charged accusations. Friends questioned her integrity, and the pressure mounted. But Evelyn refused to back down. She hired a lawyer, filed complaints, and reached out to journalists. Then, unexpectedly, the FBI knocked on her door. Agents Ramirez and Thompson revealed that Evelyn's case was part of a larger investigation into First National Trust Bank. What initially seemed like an isolated incident of discrimination was actually a calculated conspiracy. Forensic analysis confirmed that someone within the bank had tampered with Evelyn's documents after submission. Internal emails and whistleblower testimonies exposed a pattern of predatory practices targeting minority communities, offering subprime loans, seizing assets, and perpetuating cycles of poverty. Evelyn's program posed a direct threat to this exploitative system. By teaching financial literacy and offering affordable credit options, she would disrupt the bank's lucrative but unethical operations. That's why they sabotaged her proposal, to silence her before she could expose their crimes. With the FBI's support, Evelyn fought back harder than ever. Together with her legal team, she gathered irrefutable evidence, digital records showing document alterations, internal memos outlining discriminatory policies, and first-hand accounts from former employees. The more they uncovered, the clearer it became that Evelyn wasn't just a victim of prejudice. She was a target of corporate malfeasance. One particularly damning piece of evidence came from Marcus Johnson, a former senior analyst at the bank. Marcus revealed that executives had flagged Evelyn's application early on, recognizing her program as a direct challenge to their predatory lending model. They didn't care about legality, Marcus testified during a deposition. They cared about protecting profits. As the investigation deepened, Evelyn learned that First National Trust wasn't alone. Similar practices were rampant across the financial industry, disproportionately affecting Black, Latino, and indigenous communities. Banks used complex algorithms and opaque policies to justify discriminatory decisions, masking systemic racism behind claims of risk management. The emotional toll of the ordeal weighed heavily on Evelyn. Sleepless nights became the norm as she wrestled with anger, frustration, and self-doubt. Despite her unwavering belief in her innocence, the constant barrage of public scrutiny began to wear her down. Online trolls attacked her credibility, questioning everything from her academic credentials to her character. Some even suggested she was trying to play the race card to gain sympathy. It was exhausting, but Evelyn refused to let the negativity break her. Her mother, Ruth Carter, noticed the change in her daughter almost immediately. A retired schoolteacher who had raised Evelyn as a single parent, Ruth had always been her rock. When Evelyn called her one evening, sobbing uncontrollably, Ruth dropped everything and drove to Atlanta to be by her side. "Baby girl," Ruth said gently, handing Evelyn a steaming cup of chamomile tea. "You've always been a fighter. Don't let them take that away from you." Ruth reminded Evelyn of the lessons she'd instilled in her since childhood: resilience, perseverance, and the importance of standing up for what's right, even when it's unpopular or dangerous. Those words reignited something in Evelyn, a fire that burned brighter than ever before. Her lawyer, James Callahan, also played a crucial role in keeping her grounded. A seasoned civil rights attorney with decades of experience fighting institutional injustice, Callahan saw Evelyn's case as a chance to hold powerful institutions accountable. "This isn't just about one woman," he told reporters during a press conference. "It's about exposing a system that has preyed on marginalized communities for decades." Callahan worked tirelessly alongside Evelyn, strategizing every move, filing motions, and preparing for trial. He encouraged her to share her story publicly, knowing that transparency would build trust and rally supporters to her cause. Together, they crafted a narrative that resonated far beyond the courtroom to bolster their case. Evelyn and her team launched a grassroots campaign to raise awareness about predatory lending practices. They organized town hall meetings, distributed flyers, and partnered with local activists to amplify voices often ignored by mainstream media. Survivors of predatory loans shared their stories, painting a vivid picture of how banks exploited vulnerable families. One such survivor was Maria Gonzalez, a single mother of 3 who had lost her home due to ballooning interest rates. "I trusted them," Maria said tearfully during a televised interview. "They promised me help, but all they gave me was debt and despair." Stories like hers resonated deeply, drawing national attention to Evelyn's cause. Social media became a powerful tool in their arsenal. Hashtags like #StandWithEvelyn and #Expose Predatory Lending trended for weeks, sparking conversations about economic inequality and racial injustice. Influencers, activists, and everyday citizens joined the movement, sharing infographics, videos, and personal testimonials. Celebrities lent their platforms to the cause, amplifying Evelyn's message to millions. Meanwhile, whistleblowers continued to come forward, providing critical insights into First National Trust's inner workings. One former compliance officer described a culture of fear and intimidation, where employees were pressured to meet quotas regardless of ethical considerations. Another revealed that bonuses were tied directly to the number of high-interest loans issued to low-income borrowers. Each new revelation strengthened Evelyn's case and galvanized public support. Protesters rallied outside bank branches nationwide, chanting slogans like "No justice, no peace," and "Stop preying on our communities." Politicians joined the outcry, calling for congressional hearings and regulatory reforms. What started as a personal battle for justice evolved into a nationwide reckoning with institutional racism and economic exploitation. As the investigation unfolded, public opinion began to shift. Journalists dug deeper, uncovering decades of discriminatory practices by First National Trust. Investigative reports revealed that the bank had systematically targeted minority neighborhoods, offering loans with exorbitant interest rates while denying access to affordable credit options. Borrowers who defaulted, often through no fault of their own, had their homes foreclosed, leaving entire communities impoverished. Evelyn's resilience inspired others to come forward. Former employees shared stories of being pressured to falsify loan applications or deny services to minority clients. Borrowers recounted how predatory lending had devastated their lives. Each new revelation strengthened Evelyn's case and galvanized public support. Meanwhile, the FBI expanded its probe beyond First National Trust, investigating similar practices at other major banks. Agents discovered that many institutions relied on automated systems designed to identify high-risk borrowers based on flawed algorithms. These algorithms disproportionately flagged people of color, reinforcing existing biases and perpetuating cycles of inequality. What emerged was a damning portrait of an industry built on exploitation. Evelyn's case became a symbol of hope for those seeking accountability and reform. Activists hailed her as a trailblazer in the fight for economic justice, while policymakers cited her story as evidence of the urgent need for legislative action. Finally, the day arrived when Evelyn stood victorious in court. The judge ruled decisively in her favor, ordering First National Trust to pay substantial damages and implement sweeping reforms. Several top executives were arrested, while others resigned in disgrace. The ruling sent shockwaves through the financial industry, prompting calls for stricter oversight and transparency. But the most powerful moment came days later, when Evelyn returned to the same bank that had once humiliated her. This time, she entered not as a suspect, but as a symbol of hope. Agents Ramirez and Thompson accompanied her, flanking her like guardians. As they approached the front desk, the room fell silent. Then, In a gesture that brought tears to Evelyn's eyes, Agent Ramirez turned to her and saluted. "Dr. Carter," he said loudly enough for everyone to hear, "on behalf of the FBI, thank you for your courage and perseverance. You've helped shine a light where darkness thrived." Applause erupted, not just in the bank, but across the nation. Evelyn's story dominated headlines, sparking conversations about race, power, and accountability. Social media lit up with messages of gratitude and admiration. Schools incorporated her case into curriculums focused on ethics and equality. Activists hailed her as a trailblazer in the fight for economic justice. Evelyn's impact extended far beyond her immediate victories. Her case sparked a wave of investigations into other financial institutions, leading to numerous lawsuits and settlements. Regulators introduced stricter guidelines to prevent discriminatory practices, including mandatory audits and transparency requirements. Lawmakers proposed bills aimed at closing loopholes that allowed predatory lending to flourish unchecked. At the grassroots level, Evelyn's story inspired countless individuals to take action. Community organizations formed coalitions to combat economic injustice, pooling resources and expertise to create sustainable solutions. Entrepreneurs from marginalized backgrounds gained access to funding and mentorship opportunities, enabling them to launch businesses that addressed pressing social issues. Even within the banking industry, attitudes began to shift. While some institutions resisted change, others embraced reforms, recognizing the long-term benefits of fostering trust and inclusivity. Customers demanded accountability, forcing banks to prioritize ethical practices over short-term profits.